These are Iberico pork ribs, more grams of fat than protein, which means crazy juicy. I'm standing in front of a Tagwood Argentine grill. I'm here in Miami. You guys know what time it is.
It's game time. Listen, brother, these 28-inch pythons are gonna run wild on you.
That's a knife. So we're gonna trim up these pork ribs, and traditionally in Argentine style cooking, you don't trim anything. You leave all the fat, you leave all the membranes, you leave everything on there. But traditionally, Argentine barbecue is done by Argentinians, so I don't have to be too traditional. All I'm gonna do is score the membrane on the back, and if there's anything hanging off, I'll trim that off. And so let's get these trimmed up with this knife, but that's not a knife. That's a knife. Check out the marbling in this Iberico. Link in the description. So the only real trimming I'm gonna do is I'm gonna score these membranes. I'm gonna flip these over and score the membranes just because I want them to be easy to remove the meat from the bone. Crazy simple. Now to season these, whenever I cook ribs for myself, which is kind of what I'm doing today, I always use salt and pepper. You can use more complex rubs if you want, but I just love those flavors so much. And traditionally in Argentine cooking, it's just salt. So I hope they're not too offended that I'm gonna use salt and a little bit of pepper. I'm gonna do both of these racks of ribs with salt and pepper, and on one of them, I'm also gonna use some of this chimichurri mix. I've used this to make chimichurri a million times. I have this in my house always. You can ask my wife. And I've never used it as a rub. And I wanna know, okay, how does this work as a rub? Does it really stand up? Do you actually get the flavors? So we're gonna test that out on one of these, salt and pepper on both. So let's get these seasoned, and then we'll get the fire lit. We'll get these things cooked in relatively short order. We're thinking probably about 2 hours. So I'm not in Texas today, but I am gonna use some Texas salt and pepper. Sorry. It's always pepper. You never get used to it. I found something to trim. This little guy. Gone. One other thing to keep in mind when seasoning this Iberico pork is there's a lot more fat, which means it can take more salt. If you have a cut that's really lean, typically you can easily oversalt. The more fat that's present means the more it's going to be able to absorb salt without oversalting. So if you're cooking Iberico ribs, you can salt maybe just a little bit more than you otherwise would to really maximize that flavor, and you still get all the juiciness and the flavor of the meat, all that stuff, but it really dials it all the way to 10 if you get the salt just right. So at this point, we got this prepped. I'm letting that salt penetrate the meat, and so I'm gonna get this fire started. Should be pretty quick, and we're gonna burn charcoal and some wood so that we have kind of a mix of heat and the great wood flavors. We're using quebracho as the wood and the charcoal, so that combination is gonna give us real wood smoke flavor in what we're cooking, in combination with the fat that's gonna drip into these coals, which provides its own flavor, something you can't really recreate no matter what kind of fuel you're using. That fat dripping into the coals, breaking down and giving you that just rich flavor. It almost smells sweet. It's kind of like when somebody's cooking burgers, you can tell from a mile away, like, somebody's cooking burgers. It's gonna smell incredible, and I think these ribs are gonna taste incredible. Let's get this fire started so we can eat sooner. Would Argentinians be offended that I use salt and pepper? They'd be like, I don't use pepper, but okay.
We can let that slide.
You let it slide? But what if I use like brown sugar and all kinds of stuff? They'd be like, no. Okay. I'd be like, that's too much. Okay, all right. That's probably enough. Oh, this is good. Three pieces is good. So the charcoal we're using is white quebracho. And then I just realized that this is red quebracho. And if you guys have ever handled this stuff, it is incredibly dense. It's probably the most dense wood I've ever personally used for cooking. And we're going to use this because it has lots of great flavor, and it's going to produce lots of heat for us, which is going to be really good because it's going to be long, low, steady, sustained. It's not just going to peak really quickly in terms of the heat it delivers and then fall off a cliff. It's going to give us exactly what we want for this cook, which we're thinking about 2 hours. So I'm going to throw these on top of the charcoal, and hopefully we'll have coals ready and we can start cooking in maybe about 15-20 minutes.
I know that's not Argentinian, but I'm still gonna do it differently. What's the deal with that?
I will cook only Argentine style for the rest of my life out.
Really? But that's it.
It's just purely
That's it?
voluntary.
Okay.
Just because I want to. I now recognize the mistake that I've made, and I will happily use only salt.
Give me some
All
love.
right.
Good boy. Good boy.
All right, the fire's been going for maybe 20-25 minutes now, and the wood has started to burn into coals. I've actually added a few more pieces of wood. And this is really what separates this kind of cooking from other kinds of cooking that I've done, especially with ribs, because I've cooked ribs in a smoker countless times. I've cooked them in direct heat cookers that are enclosed plenty of times, but I've never cooked pork ribs where you're distributing coals and it's kind of open air. So you get some of that fat dripping into the coals, you get some of the smoke from the wood that's burning, and you get kind of a roasted, temperature-dependent crust on the outside. So we're going to start this cook at a relatively low temperature. I learned from Al that you can use your hand as a gauge rather than a thermometer that I would traditionally use, but we're looking for about 5 or 6 seconds that you can leave your hand there before it gets too hot. That's going to be a rough estimate because we want to start relatively low and slow. We don't want to burn anything, and we can gradually increase the temperature as we go. And the way we do that is by simply adjusting how high the grate is. So if I move the grate up, the temperature will be lower. If I move the grate back down, the temperature is going to be higher. And the other important thing to keep in mind is that this is lined with brick. That's going to serve as an insulation. And so these coals are going to be tremendously more effective than you think they will be. So if you have a traditional grill at home, you would think, I need tons of coals to get these cooked. No, actually just a sparse amount of coals that you put all around is going to give you even, really sustained, long, low heat, which is exactly what we want. Sorry about the plane, but we have enough coals here that we can start to distribute them, and we're going to get these ribs on bone side down, because that bone layer is, and the membrane that goes over it is going to really protect the meat that's on the other side. So we're going to probably do 80%, 90% of the cooking on the bone side to bring them up to temperature. And then we're going to flip it over to the meat side because that roasted meat flavor is what we're after in combination with the smoke and the fat smoke. So hopefully we can create something here that you can't create by any other means. So I'm going to get a shovel and start distributing these coals, get the ribs on, and then we wait. Okay, so we have these ribs on here, and right now the temperature is fairly low. I can leave my hand here for probably 6 or 7 seconds, which is just right for what I want to start with. And you might think that there's no way that I can be really cooking these because there aren't a ton of coals and they're pretty far away from the meat. If you're used to grilling in the American style, you might think that's nowhere near enough coals to cook this meat. But because this unit is lined with bricks on the bottom and on the back side, and this front side is insulated, it really is incredibly efficient. And I'm gonna wait for this helicopter to go by. Because of all this insulation, we have bricks on the bottom, bricks on the back side, we have insulated door right here. All that means this is incredibly efficient. There aren't a ton of coals, but we're getting exactly the heat that we want. If you want to dial up the heat slightly, all we have to do is use this handle to adjust up or down. Super, super easy. And if we want to increase the temperature even more, we can get more coals that we harvest from the firebox. So we have 2 independent methods to control heat. And right now you can see the first bits of fat dripping into the coals, creating that smoke flavor that you can't create by any other fuel source. It's just fat dripping into the coals. And one of the ways that this is a truly special way to cook meat. I like all cooking meat with fire. This is one of my favorites. We did our first distribution of coals under there, and we have a really nice, low, steady heat, but we can't stop there because those coals are eventually going to run out. It might take an hour, but they're not going to last forever. So to keep the fire going and create more coals, all I'm going to do is get some more pieces of this wood, this red quebracho, and I'm going to put it in the firebox. It has a ton of heat in there because those coals are super hot. The way it's designed, the air gets in underneath, and so you have super, super hot red coals underneath. You drop a couple pieces of wood, and your cook continues. So these ribs have only been on for maybe 3 or 4 minutes, and we're already starting to get fat that renders and is dripping into the coals. So I'm looking underneath here, and I see these little bubbles of liquid. That's fat that's turned into a liquid, and it's falling into the coals, and it's providing a next dimension of flavor that you don't get with charcoal or wood or pellets or anything else. You definitely don't get it with gas. So if you guys can get a view underneath the grate here, I can even lift it up. You can see these fat droplets falling into the coals, and every time you get this wisp of delicious smelling smoke. So if we can get a shot of that, I think you guys are going to understand one of the reasons this is so special. These ribs have been on for about an hour and 20 minutes at this point, and we're starting to get really good color on the bottom. Nothing's burned yet, but I want to get good color on the meat side because that Maillard reaction that happens at high temperatures is going to give it a really delicious roasted taste that I don't want to miss out on. So if you guys look at the bottom here, we're starting to get color. Obviously nothing has burned. You see bubbling fat. That's all stuff that's going to make this end bite more juicy. And so in order to get that color on this side, I'm going to flip it over. And I'm going to increase the heat because it's not going to stay on the side for very long. If we take a look at this one on the back, also we're starting to get good kind of yellow-brown color. Nothing is burning. Those dark bits that you see are just proteins that are leaking out of the meat, and then they're getting really dark because of the heat. But the meat itself is not burning. It's exactly where we want it. We've been going low and slow, nice and gentle. And so I'm actually going to lower this down a couple of notches, and I'm going to distribute some more coals. After I get the color on the meat side that I want, I'm going to break all of the rules of the Argentine barbecue world. And I'm going to wrap these in foil and let them get just a little bit more tender. So we'll see how it goes. I'll update you on every step of the process. Time to distribute some coals. Just a little bit more. There we go. Excuse me. You smell that?
Nothing else in the world smells like that, son. You know what that is?
No. You guys seen Apocalypse Now?
You smell that? Nothing else in the world smells like that, son. That's napalm.
No, how does it go?
It's like, you smell that? You smell that? Fat smoke, son. Nothing else in the world smells like that. I love the smell of fat smoke in the morning.
All right, apologies for the rain, but it actually is kind of awesome being here in Miami. It's raining, but we're covered and we're still cooking. But while these ribs are finishing, I wanted to try and cook something else. And my friend Al Frugoni, you may know him as El Rey de Coliflor, or the King of Cauliflower. He's gonna come in. He's been my Argentine cuisine Sherpa, and he's gonna show us how to make one of my very favorite things, provoleta. So Al, what's provoleta and how we're gonna make it?
Okay, provoleta is basically a type of provolone cheese, right? That is that you can cook it on the grill. Actually, yeah, because it's the provolone has this it's a hardwood that is gonna resist the grill and it's not gonna completely melt.
Yeah. So the inside's gonna be melty, the outside crispy, and I'm telling you guys, if you never tried it, imagine what a mozzarella stick wishes it could be, and that is provoleta. It's delicious. So how do we make it?
So this is a provoleta. You want to have like half an inch, right? You can go to the deli in your supermarket, grocery store, and ask to cut it this way, right? Like half an inch.
They look at you weird, but they will do it.
Yes, they will. Yeah, exactly. So what I like to do is to keep it outside the refrigerator on a rack for 3 or 4 days, so that develop that crust, you know, that crust that you would take off if you're gonna eat it, or maybe you throw away the cheese.
Sure.
Okay, that crust is the one you need to sear it and not, you know, fall apart. in this particular case, we didn't have time to do that, to dry the crust. So we're gonna do the technique number 2. We're gonna use some flour. We're gonna put some flour on it. We're gonna get the grill super hot.
Okay.
And we don't have to give the time to melt and spread, right? We want to keep it as much round as we can, right?
Right.
So we're gonna put the flour on it. We're gonna heat up the grill very much, and then we're gonna try to sit and try to do it, right? Let's go ahead and dunk it. And
Done. Oh. It replaces it.
yeah.
Oh.
How do you like that quebracho, red quebracho, man?
I like it a lot. All right, this rain is getting super loud, so enjoy this music and watch this montage. Should we dust that side with more flour before we flip it? All right, we got crust on the top. We're putting the crust on the bottom. The inside is starting to melt. So we're gonna get this thing off of here, put it on a board, then we're gonna slice it up and try it.
Let's go, huh?
We got another knife. As you guys may be able to tell, I'm mic'd up 1, 2, 3 ways. That's because I'm here not only with Al, but also with Tone Ramirez, TFTI BBQ, another good friend of mine. And provoleta is one of his favorite things. So Tone, you want to get in here and try this with us?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Hola, Tony.
All right.
So good.
Yeah, well done, Al.
Well, I did it 1 or 2 times before, so.
Once or twice? You guys can choose your favorite. I'm going with this guy.
I'll go with that.
So the outside is crispy, but obviously the inside is nice and gooey and delicious. So without further ado, let's try it. Al, my guy.
Good job, guys.
I just watched. Man, that's really good.
That's so different than regular provolone.
Yeah, like the flavor you get somehow is a different thing completely.
Oh my God. Good stuff.
Okay. Right now that we had our pit snack, it's time to get back to the pork ribs. Finish those off and give those a taste. You guys gonna try them with me?
Sure.
All right.
Wait, vamos.
Cool. All right, these have been on the meat side for a few minutes. Let's see how they're doing. That looks great. Let's check these. Also really nice. But you guys can see they're not quite as tender as I like them. I like them to be almost falling apart. So what I'm gonna do to kind of soften the outside surface, but still maintain that flavor that's on the inside, I'm gonna wrap these in foil, breaking all the rules. Hopefully Al doesn't kill me. But we're gonna get that kind of tenderness that I'm after with the incredible flavor that you can only get this way. Okay, so only probably 15-20 minutes wrapped, and then we're done. We're gonna taste them. Not wrapping can kind of expose them to the heat a little more. Like 2 days ago, I rolled up my sleeves to get rid of my farmer's tan, exposed my arm to the sun, and I was like, oh, okay, great. It was a little red, but then instead of a farmer's tan, I had this, which was not great. So we're gonna protect those ribs. Don't let them get burned. We want them to get tender, so we'll see how it goes. We're getting close. We're getting real close. 5 minutes.
Queremos comer.
What are you saying?
Queremos comer. We want to eat. We want to eat.
Queremos comer.
We will stop. Stop the scroll. Stop.
All right, we got both racks of ribs here. It's still raining really hard outside, so we decided to come inside to do the taste test. They spent maybe 15, 20 minutes in the foil, and now we're gonna unwrap them, take a look, and eat. Salt and pepper ribs. So we have the crust. It's fairly tender. I could pull these apart if I wanted. And that's about what I was hoping for. We rendered this fat pretty well, which is another thing I was trying to do. Now let's take a look at the chimichurri ribs. If it didn't turn out well, it's probably because of the Frugoni salt and pepper.
Oh!
Hey, I used this stuff on both of these, so I can blame him if they both went wrong. Chimichurri ribs. Oh, you can smell the chimi. I was surprised, but you can actually smell it. This fat is very soft, so you can poke right through it if you want. I will cut us some ribs here. First, salt and pepper only. I think this is gonna be the one.
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
3.
1, 2, 3. It really is totally different.
Nice and crispy.
Outside is crispy, but not burned. I think the quality of salt and pepper is what's really holding these back. Simple, so you can make a meal out of it and not feel sick. It's not so many different flavors going on that I would eat those again, 100%. Let's see about some of these chimichurri ribs. Al, tone, chimi rib. I've never used this as a rub before. Oh, you really taste it. I like these better.
Me too. It's different when you try ribs that are not sweet, but I'm really like them. I think the guy that made the chimi is pretty cool too, right?
I heard nobody likes him. I really love the crust that you get on the outside. I think that's my favorite part. That's something I'm kind of missing in every other kind of rib cooking. Like if you put them in a smoker and you get a crust, it's because you burnt them. If you put them in like a direct heat pit and there's like a hard crust, you burnt them.
Yeah.
This, there's a crust, but it's not burned. And the only thing I wish I had more of is more ribs. So
Yeah, very true. Yeah, they don't have a lot of meat, but it's pretty special cut.
yeah.
I really like it.
It's almost like a chicharron on the outside.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Chicharron, it means chicharron, right?
Chicharron, yeah.
Oh,
And crispy pork.
Are you criticizing our Spanish abilities?
yeah.
How dare you?
Chicharron in English is chicharron.
Nah. No seas pesado.
That means don't be annoying.
So you get some of the wood smoke flavor. It's mild, but you definitely still taste it there. And then you get a lot of the fat smoke flavor where the fat was dripping into the coals and was creating so much of that aroma. So I want to try this again with the biggest, thickest pork ribs I can find. And I think this is going to be in the wheelhouse of ways I want to cook ribs in the future because the kind of flavor and the crisp you get on the outside is really special. Al, stop stealing. This guy. If you guys are interested in Argentine style cooking and Argentine style cookers, you guys can check out Tagwood. We'll put links to their website, their Instagram, everything. They make a wide variety of different Argentine style grills. So if you want to cook direct heat over coals, if you want to cook asador style, they have all the equipment that you need and it looks like $1 million. So I'll put those links in the description. Go check them out. I think you'll probably find something you can't live without. I know I have. All right, if you guys enjoyed the video as much as I enjoyed the ribs, it makes me really happy. I hope you did enjoy it and you can hit the subscribe button down below. Don't forget to like the video. And you can also follow me on all other social media platforms at Mad Scientist Barbecue. You can follow Tone at TFTI BBQ, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, everywhere. And this guy, I wouldn't follow him at all. But his name is Frugoni. He is the one who introduced me to Argentine style cooking. So give him a follow. He's making great content just like Tone. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.
Can you do fast forward this?
No, don't do that.
You move very slow like this, and then she fast forward like, and then I go like.
So that
I would do that.
Okay, you guys move like super slow, okay? So that's like say like stop, ow, don't do it.
That's
Let's go.
yeah, you're the
Let's go.